Edgar Bellingham, age 63, was not a man of many surprises, except for the fact that he wore mismatched socks deliberately. He said it kept his balance, whatever that meant. He was a clockmaker by trade, and a cat whisperer by accident. The townsfolk of Pebblewick referred to him as Tick-Tock Eddie, which he pretended to hate, but secretly adored. His little shop, Tempus Fugit, was squeezed between a dusty bookshop and a bakery that always smelled like burning regret. He lived above it, alone except for his prized feline, Thistle. Thistle wasn't just any cat. She was sleek, silver-furred, and walked with the air of a retired duchess. More importantly, she had a talent. She could detect broken clocks before they ticked wrong. Every morning, she'd leap onto the workbench, sniff a pocket watch, bat a pendulum, and meow precisely once if something was amiss. Edgar would then nod solemnly and get to work. It was an odd arrangement, but a reliable one, until the morning Thistle vanished. There was no broken window, no overturned dish, no note scrawled in feline script. Just silence. And Edgar? He panicked, which for him meant spilling tea on his vest and knocking over a grandfather clock. "She doesn't go outside," he muttered, combing the room for clues. "She fears birds. Birds." At precisely 9:03 a.m., a brass letterbox flap clanked. Edgar shuffled to it, opened the envelope, and froze. Inside was a tiny brass cog, Thistle's collar charm, and a note. "Time is ticking, Mr. Bellingham." Determined to retrieve Thistle, Edgar embarked on his first investigation since the Great Biscuit heist of '97, which turned out to be a raccoon. He had one clue: the gear. Not just any cog. It was a specialized mechanism, part of a rare type of marine chronometer made by only one other person in the region, Madame Veer. Madame Veer was everything Edgar was not. Tall, elegant, and disturbingly punctual. Her shop, Moments Eternal, glistened with timepieces that ticked in perfect harmony. No dust, no creaks, no charm. When Edgar burst in, out of breath, she didn't flinch. "I assume this is about the cat," she said without looking up from her hourglass. How? She was here," Veer said. "2 nights ago. Uninvited. Left behind a single hair on my display case. I sent her away." "Why would she go anywhere alone?" "She was chasing something," Veer replied, standing finally, eyes sharp. "A sound. A ticking not made by human hands." Edgar blinked. "You mean a clock not made by us?" Veer stepped closer and whispered, "There is a machine in this town. An old one. Hidden. Not built by clockmakers. Built by keepers." Edgar frowned. "Keepers of what?" "Time, but not the kind we sell." With Veyer's cryptic words gnawing at his mind, Edgar returned home. He pored over old blueprints and dusty books he hadn't touched in decades. One thing stood out: the Pebblewick Subterranean Transit Map, 1887. It was riddled with tunnels, most of them bricked over after the flood of '03. One location was circled in faded red ink: Bell's Hollow. "Wait, Bell's Hollow used to have a clock tower," Edgar muttered. "It was torn down. Or was it buried?" Grabbing his lantern, a pack of dried sardines, Thistle's favorite, and a wrench he claimed was lucky, Edgar headed out into the rainy evening. By midnight, he was deep under the town, walking through echoing stone corridors. The air grew colder. Faint ticking echoed through the walls, impossibly slow. It felt like the heartbeat of something ancient. Then he found it. A chamber, domed and immense. In the center stood a machine unlike anything he'd ever seen. Brass spirals, rotating rings, glowing filaments. And atop a platform, in a glass dome, Thistle! She sat calmly, licking her paw as if nothing was strange about being the centerpiece of a steampunk cathedral. "Don't touch her!" The voice came from above. A figure emerged from the shadows, a young man in a vest covered in watch faces. His eyes glowed faintly golden. "I'm Keeper Marlowe," he said. "This isn't what you think. You kidnapped my cat!" "She activated the mechanism. She has temporal sensitivity. It's rare." Edgar blinked. She likes sardines and hates pigeons, that's all. Marlowe chuckled. Number. She sees time differently. She walked into the chamber and stabilized it. Without her, the mechanism will fracture. Time across Pebblewick will loop. Days will repeat. Moments will vanish. Edgar looked at Thistle. She blinked slowly, unconcerned. Let her out, Edgar said. There's got to be another way. There is, Marlowe said. You! Marlowe explained that the mechanism was a temporal buffer, built in 1783 by an anonymous society to keep reality from cracking around a temporal fault line beneath the town. Thistle had stabilized it briefly, but a human with a clockmaker's touch could reset it permanently. Once you connect with the machine, you'll see time. Not just tick, but stretch, ripple, bend. It'll change you. Edgar hesitated. And what happens to me? You'll still be here, but slightly elsewhere too. You'll become part of the machine. Still Edgar, still conscious, but connected to every clock in town. Thistle meowed once, as if approving. You'd give up your life? Marlowe asked. Edgar stared at Thistle, at the ancient device, at his wrinkled hands. My life is clocks, he said softly, but I never thought I'd become one. He stepped forward. The sensation wasn't painful, more like stepping into warm tea on a cold morning. The gears welcomed him. The rings spun. The room glowed brighter. Marlowe removed Thistle from the dome gently. She yawned. The chamber pulsed. Pebblewick shuddered for a moment, then stilled. From that day on, no clock in Pebblewick ever ran late again. No two were out of sync. Babies were born on time. Bread baked just right. Lovers met at corners without planning. And every so often, when someone walked past Tempest Fugit, they'd hear a faint chime, even though the shop was closed. Inside, on the workbench, Thistle still perched, content because Edgar was home.